Stop. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't explain. There was once a man who ruled the greatest empire on earth. Yet every morning before the sun rose, he whispered to himself, "Today I will meet selfish men, angry men, ungrateful men, but I will not become one of them." His name was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and master of his own mind. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He didn't chase validation. He didn't beg for comfort. He didn't explain his calm to the chaos around him. As Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Every morning was his battlefield and his mind his weapon. And you don't need to be born powerful to live like an emperor. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Your morning is your empire. Your discipline is your crown. Remember what Jocko Willink said, discipline equals freedom. So today, stop chasing, stop begging, stop explaining, and start becoming unstoppable. Part 1, the Stoic principle, never chase. Stop, don't chase, don't beg, don't explain. Take one deep breath and ask yourself, what are you chasing today? Success, approval. Love the next notification that proves you matter. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Yet most of us wake up every morning and hand those thoughts to everyone else. We chase everything except clarity. This is where Stoicism begins the first rule of an unshakable mind: never chase. Imagine Rome at dawn, its marble streets still quiet, the empire asleep. Inside the palace, the emperor is already awake. He does not rise to command armies or dictate orders. He rises to command his own thoughts. In meditations, he reminds himself at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I must go to work as a human being." The Stoic does not chase comfort. He answers duty. Modern science agrees. A Harvard study found that people who check their phones within 5 minutes of waking report 23% higher stress during the day. Marcus had no phone, but he knew the principle: control your first thoughts, or they will control you. Inhale, exhale, say it with me. What I can control today is myself. When you chase people approval or outcomes, you surrender your peace as collateral. Epictetus warned, when you desire things that are not your own, you become their slave. Think of the last time you refreshed social media, waiting for someone to notice you. That small rush of dopamine, that's the leash. The Stoic cuts the leash. He attracts by steadiness, by presence, by self-command. Psychologists call this the law of reverse effort. The harder you chase calm or success, the faster it escapes. Marcus understood this in war. When his generals panicked after a lost battle, he simply wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining. He did not chase victory, he cultivated readiness. So before you touch your phone tomorrow morning, give yourself 3 quiet minutes. Sit in silence. Feel your breath. Write one line. What I can control today is my mind. Neuroscientists call this a cognitive prime, a ritual that programs focus and lowers cortisol by 15%. Marcus never used that term, but he wore its result like armor. Seneca once said, he suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. Ground yourself first and you stop suffering for things that haven't even happened. Close your eyes for a heartbeat and repeat, "Stillness is my strength." Feel how different that sounds from "I hope they like me." Let me tell you 2 mornings. Morning A, you wake, grab your phone, scroll through headlines, messages, comparisons. Within 10 minutes, your nervous system believes you're under attack. Heart rate up 18 beats per minute. Focus gone. Morning B, you wake, stretch, breathe, write 1 sentence of intention. You enter the day as the author, not the actor. By 9 a.m., morning A is reacting, morning B is creating. Which morning will you choose tomorrow? Say it with me, I will not chase what is not mine to control. Every repetition builds a neural path of detachment. Detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. The Stoic's heart is warm, but it burns clean. In work, stop chasing validation from your boss. Pursue excellence, not applause. In relationships, stop chasing attention. Give presence, release expectation. In money, stop chasing trends. Invest in habits that quietly compound. A London Business School study found that leaders who journal 10 minutes each morning make 31% better strategic decisions. Stoicism isn't mysticism, it's measurable discipline. And here lies the paradox of power. The more you chase it, the weaker you feel. The more you release the chase, the stronger you become. Marcus never bragged about being emperor. In private, he scolded himself. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The Stoic doesn't advertise virtue. He practices it before dawn. When the world shouts, he stays still because he has already met himself that morning. Tomorrow, try the 1-minute anchor. Sit on the edge of your bed. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Ask, what is one thing within my control today? Write it down, then do it. Studies show that defining control can cut decision fatigue by 40%. Once you name control, everything else becomes noise. There's a legend from the plague years. Citizens screamed, soldiers panicked, but Marcus walked calmly through the courtyard. A soldier asked, "How can you stay so peaceful when thousands are dying?" Marcus replied, "If it is beyond my control, it is not my concern." The soldier thought him heartless. History remembers him wise. Inhale peace, exhale control. So what are you chasing? A title, a number, someone's approval, or mastery of the only kingdom you will ever truly rule your mind? When you stop chasing, you start attracting. People can sense the calm of someone who no longer begs the world for permission to exist. That calm is magnetic. Marcus ended one meditation with words worth carving into thought. A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. So aim not for fame, aim for freedom. Say it with me one last time. I am steady. I am grounded. I attract what aligns with me. And when you master the art of not chasing a new challenge, arrives the urge to beg for easier days, for comfort, for recognition. In the next chapter, we'll learn why Stoics never beg and how Marcus turned pain into purpose. But for now, as the sun rises, tomorrow meet yourself before the world meets you. Because freedom begins there, in the moment you decide to stop running after everything and finally stand still. Part 2, never beg. Stop asking life for mercy. Stop whispering, why me? The Stoic does not beg, he builds. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, yet he never prayed for life to be easier. In the darkest days of plague and war, he wrote quietly to himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you beg for the road to be smooth, you forget that strength is built on rough ground. When you embrace the obstacle instead of fleeing it, you become the kind of person nothing can break. Say it softly, let it test me, let it build me. We live in an age addicted to comfort. Temperature-controlled rooms, food on demand, infinite entertainment in a screen the size of a hand. We call it progress, but often it's just a velvet cage. Every generation builds its own form of slavery. Ours is comfort. Epictetus, who was born into chains, understood freedom better than most who are born free. He said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That single sentence has carried soldiers, surgeons, and single parents through storms they never expected. No begging, no blaming, only choice. Modern science now echoes the Stoics. A Stanford study in 2024 found that brief exposure to mild stress, cold hunger, hard training, raises resilience by 32%. Marcus did not need statistics. He saw truth in discipline itself. When the morning felt heavy, he wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I must go to work as a human being." He never begged the sun to rise later. He rose with it. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in slowly. Exhale. Whisper, "I do not beg for easy days. I prepare for strong ones." Every dawn is a duel. One voice says, "Stay a little longer." The other says, "Rise." The first belongs to comfort, the second to command. The moment you listen to command, you begin to lead your life instead of follow it. In modern psychology, they call this activation energy, the short burst required to cross from thought to motion. Move your body and the mind obeys. Stillness before effort is hesitation. Movement before motivation is mastery. No one is coming to drag you forward. You are the push. Each morning you act without begging for inspiration. You strengthen the identity of someone reliable, someone steady. Marcus warned his own mind often. Do not expect Plato's Republic. Be content if the smallest thing goes well. In a culture of endless wanting, contentment is rebellion. Gratitude is not a polite word, it's an act of defiance against despair. A Harvard review found that people who record 3 genuine gratitudes each morning cut their symptoms of anxiety nearly in half. The Stoics discovered the same medicine 2 millennia earlier. Gratitude, they wrote, is the soul recognizing its own wealth. Repeat quietly, I owe life my effort, not my pleas. And when life breaks your plans, remember the Stoics' peace is not the absence of pain, it's the presence of purpose. Marcus lost 8 children, the dearest things a man can lose. And yet he wrote, do not say, oh, unfortunate me, but oh, fortunate that this has happened to me while I remain unbroken. He did not beg the gods to change the outcome. He shaped himself to endure it. Seneca, banished by Nero, wrote letters of serenity from exile. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness, each word carved from personal loss. He refused to ask for an easier climb. Pain the Stoics knew as tuition. To beg for its removal is to forfeit the lesson. When you stop saying, why me, and start whispering, try me, you turn suffering into a teacher. Think of the cold shower at dawn. It looks small, but it is a perfect mirror of life. Your mind screams, not today, and yet when you step in, the body adapts. The breath steadies. The heart learns obedience. Within 3 weeks, studies show dopamine, the molecule of motivation, rises 250% and stays high for hours. What was once pain becomes energy. Every second under cold water is a declaration. If I can face this, I can face anything. The greatest beggar is not on the street. He lives inside your head. He whispers, notice me, reward me, make this easier. Every time you obey him, your power diminishes. Marcus replied to that voice with pen and reason. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Each ritual of discipline, movement, breath, reflection is a quiet refusal to kneel before that inner beggar. When you stop asking the world to validate you, the world begins to respect you. Tomorrow morning, test this. Let cold water touch your skin for 30 seconds. Write one thing you will refuse to complain about today. List 3 acts of service you will do without being asked. That's the anti-begging routine. Within days, you'll feel a strange calm, the calm of someone who no longer needs permission to exist. Viktor Frankl, survivor of the camp, said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. He lived what Marcus taught. There is no freedom in pleading for conditions to shift. Freedom is the power to shift within them. When you beg less, you see more. You notice sunlight through the window, the weight of breath, the miracle of ordinary moments. Gratitude sharpens vision. And understand this, you cannot beg and be great in the same breath. Greatness demands the still posture of acceptance, the willingness to meet difficulty as an ally. Marcus Aurelius never begged Rome to love him. He wrote, be like the rock against which the waves continually break. It stands firm, and the raging of the sea falls still around it. To be that rock is not arrogance, it is patience. In relationships, stop begging for attention. Give kindness and let it return if it chooses. In work, stop begging for recognition. Master your craft until quality speaks for you. In spirit, stop begging for signs. Act with integrity, and your actions will illuminate the path. When you stop pleading for rescue, you awaken to the truth that you were never powerless, only distracted. Nietzsche echoed it centuries later. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. The Stoics' why is virtue to live, with reason to act, with courage to accept the rhythm of fate without bitterness. When you structure your mornings around purpose instead of comfort, your life begins to arrange itself around peace. Even data supports what philosophy promised. People who start their day with deliberate challenge, cold silence, or exercise show 43% higher focus. 5 minutes of journaling raises long-term goal success by 25%. Visualizing obstacles instead of wishing them away lowers anxiety by a third. Stoicism is not ancient poetry, it's psychology proven by time. A story from the Roman frontier. A young soldier asked Marcus, how do you pray for strength? The emperor smiled and said, you don't pray for strength. You act as if you already have it. Later during a storm, the soldier remembered those words. He stood in the freezing rain, silent, composed. He didn't beg the sky to stop. He became calm beneath its roar. That is Stoicism, faith expressed through behavior, not requests. Look at your own life. Every transformation began the moment you refused to beg. You stopped asking for certainty and started working with courage. The Stoic does not say, I hope this gets easier. He says, I will become equal to it. So stop begging the path to change. Become the change on the path. Whisper once more. Let it test me. Let it build me. Feel how those words expand inside your chest. One is a plea, the other a promise. Seneca said we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When you beg, you live inside imagination's fears. When you act, you step back into reality's peace. Marcus ended his journals each night with quiet confidence, not because he controlled the world, but because he controlled his response to it. He would rise again the next morning, face the same chaos, and greet it without begging. And now you too know what it means to stop chasing and stop begging. There remains one final mastery for the Stoic mind, the temptation to explain yourself to those who will never understand. In the next reflection, never explain, well explore why silence often carries more strength than defense, and how a steady morning practice becomes your invisible armor. Until that dawn comes, wake early, face discomfort with composure, breathe in gratitude, and remember the Stoic never begs for light, he quietly becomes it. Part 3, Never Explain. There is a quiet kind of strength that the world rarely notices, the strength to stay silent when everyone demands an answer. The Stoic does not chase approval. He does not beg for understanding. He does not explain his calm to those who thrive on noise. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire on earth, but every morning he reminded himself that true power is internal. He wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. He did not perform his virtue for applause. He practiced it in silence, knowing that truth does not need to defend itself, it only needs to be lived. When you stop explaining yourself, you begin to reclaim your energy. Every justification is a thread pulled from your peace. Epictetus warned, if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. Say only, he did not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these. That line contains a lifetime of freedom, because the moment you stop defending, you begin observing. The Stoic understands you can't control what people say, only what you become. Silence, then, is not weakness. It is self-command. In a world that rewards reaction, silence becomes rebellion. Modern psychology calls it response inhibition, the sacred pause between trigger and reply, the space where wisdom lives. The ancients called it virtue. Breathe in deeply. Hold that breath for a moment. Feel the stillness between inhale and exhale. That space, that pause, is freedom. Most people rush to fill it with explanation, but the Stoic guards it like treasure. Marcus wrote, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. That means we do not owe the world constant clarification. When we spend our lives trying to be understood, we become prisoners of perception. You are not what others think of you. You are what you consistently do when no one is watching. Imagine a moment of accusation. Someone doubts your intentions, questions your motives. Your heart beats faster, your throat tightens, and the instinct is to explain, to defend, to correct. But then you remember the Stoic lesson: no one's misunderstanding can harm your integrity unless you hand it to them. So you pause, you breathe, you continue your work. That's not apathy, that's authority. Seneca once wrote, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Criticism is friction. Let it polish you quietly. Do not fight it. Let it refine you. In that way, misunderstanding becomes your teacher. There's a story of a Roman philosopher who was insulted in the market. The crowd expected outrage, but he simply smiled and walked away. Later, when asked why he didn't respond, he said, because truth does not need an audience, and the fool does not need correction. That story survived centuries because silence lasts longer than noise. We live in an age of explanation, posts, arguments, comments, millions of words fired into the void each day. Everyone defends, everyone performs. But silence is a lost art. The Stoic speaks only when words can add value. Otherwise, he lets time speak for him. Time, after all, is the ultimate witness. Einstein said, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Your peace cannot be measured by approval. It doesn't need to be understood to be real. A diamond doesn't argue its value, it simply reflects light. Sometimes your calm will be mistaken for coldness, your silence for weakness. Let them think what they will. The Stoic does not chase the correction of every false perception. He understands that people do not see others as they see them as they are. So let them reveal themselves through their judgment. You stay still. Marcus wrote, "To refrain from imitation is the best revenge. Do not imitate noise. Do not imitate anger. Continue your work in quiet excellence. Your stillness will mirror others' chaos, and they will see themselves clearly, even if you never say a word." Even self-explanation can become a trap. We replay mistakes, defend old choices, apologize to ghosts. But Marcus reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. So revoke it. Stop begging the past to understand you. Forgive yourself. Continue forward. Viktor Frankl, who survived the camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space, that small pause, is where Stoicism lives. Every morning when you breathe in silence before the world awakens, you strengthen that space. You train your mind to respond with reason instead of reaction. This discipline of non-explanation does not mean isolation. It means participation with perspective. You still speak still, love still lead, but with fewer words and more weight. Your words become like coins, few valuable, exchanged only when necessary. Seneca advised speech should be like silver, but silence is golden. When you speak less, you mean more. To practice this, start small. Tomorrow morning when you wake, sit for 1 minute before the noise of the world enters. Ask yourself, what truth of mine needs no words today? Then carry that truth quietly. Let your actions explain what your mouth no longer needs to. When criticism comes, smile. When praise comes, smile the same way. This is evenness, the Stoic balance Marcus called apatheia, not indifference but mastery of emotion. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. Be that presence. Let what you are speak before what you explain." And when the world finally notices your calm, when they ask how you stay unmoved amid chaos, you will smile because there is nothing to explain, only something to live. Marcus ended one meditation with a line both humble and eternal. All is ephemeral fame, and the famous as well. If even an emperor could release his grip on reputation, we can afford to stop defending ours. We can afford to let misunderstanding pass like clouds across a steady sky. Look at the morning sun. It does not announce its purpose. It simply rises, fills the world, and continues on its path. That is the Stoic way, quiet, radiant, assured. You have learned not to chase. You have learned not to beg, and now not to explain. But remember, Stoicism is not an ending. It is a daily practice. Each morning will ask you again, will you choose noise or will you choose peace? Choose peace. Walk forward in silence. Because the Stoic never begs for light, he becomes it. Part 4, the still mind. Dawn returns, and with it another chance to begin again. The Stoic wakes not to conquer the world, but to govern himself. The battle is not out there. It is in here, inside the wandering mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." 2,000 years later, that sentence remains a map for every restless soul. Because all suffering begins in one place, the refusal to be still. We live surrounded by motion screens, opinions, comparison. Our minds, once instruments of reason, have become antennas for noise. But the Stoic knows that peace is not found by running faster. It is found by stopping completely. Stillness is not laziness, it is alignment. It is the moment when your thoughts finally agree to move in one direction. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom begins when the mind stops serving every impulse. Modern science confirms it. The average person's attention drifts every 8 seconds. Meditation, even 10 minutes a day, reverses that decay, strengthening focus, lowering stress hormones, and restoring presence. Marcus had no laboratory yet. He practiced this every dawn. He wrote, "At day's beginning, say to yourself, I will meet busy men, ungrateful men, self-seeking men, yet none of them can harm my reason if I do not let them." That is the voice of a trained mind. Breathe with him now. Inhale through the nose, count to 4. Hold, feel the pause. Exhale slowly. That pause between breaths is the space of control. It is the difference between reaction and response, between chaos and command. The Stoic morning begins in that space. Before the world shouts its demands, he listens inward. He asks three questions. What is within my control today? What is beyond it? What will I do with the first? The third question is where life begins. Seneca said we suffer more in imagination than in reality. A still mind closes that distance. When you slow down your thinking, the monsters shrink to their real size. Anxiety becomes a thought, not a prophecy. Regret becomes a teacher, not a chain. The past and future lose their authority. All that remains is now small, manageable, alive. The Stoic mind is like a lake on a windless morning. Disturbance may touch the surface, but the depth remains calm. You can build that depth through ritual, rising early journaling, before noise moving your body, greeting discomfort first. These are not habits of productivity. They are anchors of peace. Each one tells the mind, I am in charge. Even emperors needed such reminders. Marcus led armies, signed decrees, faced betrayal. Yet in every margin of his diary, you find the same lesson. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. He discovered that solitude is not a place but a practice. You can stand in a crowd and still be alone with clarity. You can sit in silence and feel the entire world pass through you without disturbance. Stillness, however, does not mean detachment from life. It means presence within it. To a Stoic, calmness is not withdrawal, it is readiness. When your mind is quiet, you see the next right action, clearly unclouded by anger or fear. This is why Marcus wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Such simplicity is only possible in a still mind. Viktor Frankl echoed this in the 20th century. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is the Stoic temple, invisible, portable, eternal. Every breath that lengthens it expands your freedom. In the rush of modern life, stillness looks impossible. But remember, stillness is not absence of movement. It is unity of motion. A hawk gliding on the wind is not still because it stops moving. It is still because every motion serves a single aim. That is how the Stoic moves through chaos, not frozen, but composed. When criticism comes, the still mind listens, learns, releases. When praise arrives, it bows, then forgets. Marcus said, receive without pride, let go without attachment. That is equilibrium, the mind as level as water in a cup. Try this each evening before sleep. Write 3 lines. One thing you controlled well today. One thing you let disturb your peace. One way you will be gentler with your mind tomorrow. This is not journaling for record, it is maintenance for the soul. After a week, you will notice your thoughts slowing your tone, softening your reactions, shortening. Stillness is cumulative. It grows the way dawn grows quietly. Seneca taught to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Concentration is compassion for the present. When you give your full attention to a single task, you honor time itself. The Stoic sees every act, pouring tea, answering a letter, walking in the rain, as a ceremony of focus. He does not multitask existence, he inhabits it. And yet even the still mind is tested. There will be days when noise returns, when anger rises, fear tightens, and patience wavers. Marcus faced that too. He would close his eyes and remind himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Memento mori, the memory of mortality, turns every irritation into nothing, every moment into gift. When you remember death, you learn to live gently. When you live gently, the mind rests naturally. Stillness becomes gratitude. Look outside now. The sky does not hurry, the sun does not speak, yet everything gets done. Nature shows us daily that serenity accomplishes more than struggle. The Stoic learns from that rhythm, unhurried, purposeful, constant. To master the mind is not to escape thought, it is to guide it. When fear enters, greet it, learn its message, and let it leave. When joy visits, share it, but don't cling. The mind is a guest house, as Rumi said centuries later. The Stoic keeps it open, but orderly. And so the day ends where it began, in silence. The Stoic closes, his journal extinguishes the lamp, and before sleep, he whispers gratitude for the chance to practice again tomorrow. Because mastery of the mind is never finished. It is renewed every dawn with the simple question, will I rule my thoughts today or will they rule me? He smiles because the answer is already forming in calmness. He will rise. He will breathe. He will meet the world not with noise but with quiet command. And in that stillness, he will find his strength again. The world will test you today with noise, with anger, with fear. But you have a morning routine that turns storms into silence. Every breath, every choice, every moment of restraint is proof that your mind belongs to you. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't explain. You command your inner world. And that discipline, that calm, is your true superpower. So before you leave this video, take a second to breathe. Remember, strength is not found in noise. It's born in stillness. If this message speaks to you, if you believe the Stoic path can build a stronger world, then help spread it. Like this video. Share it with one person who needs peace more than approval. And subscribe to Making Life Better, the place where we rise each morning, not to chase the world, but to master ourselves. Now, before you go, I want you to type one word in the comments. A single word that defines your mindset today. Mine is stillness. What's yours? Type it below. Let the world see your calm. Let's build this Stoic tribe one word at a time.